Welcome to Money Matters, Business Structures, Tax Strategies, and Financial Planning for Success. We're here today with our Standout Online expert panelists, Lauren Cohen and Tina Pittman. And these fabulous ladies are going to tell you about themselves. We're in for a really treat tonight. We're going to learn a lot. Let me start with Tina. Tina, tell us all about yourself and what you do.
I am a CPA and a certified tax coach. So I have been doing taxes for, I hate to say, over 30 years for small to medium-sized businesses. My company is Your Accountant, and no, it's not a franchise. I originally started my business when my husband opened up a small business. So what I did was started at a franchise tax place. I'm not going to name the name. For
Does
2
it
years,
rhyme with rock?
I worked there for 2 years, and then from there, it just took off. Got my own clients. My husband kind of was a salesperson for me. So that's basically how I got started.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tina. It's great to have you here today. And then we have Lauren Cohen, who's an attorney. And Lauren, tell us all about yourself.
So first, I have a question for Tina.
Yes.
Hi. First of all,
Hi.
Thank you. So, Tina, do you work nationally?
What was that again?
Do you work nationally?
Oh, nationally, yes.
Okay, cool. And you're in Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
Okay. So that's cool. So that's the nice thing about taxes, it's national. Actually, it's not that nice, but it's a
No,
fact.
it's not nice.
Taxes aren't nice.
You got all those state and local
All the state,
rules.
right. So hi, my name is Lauren Cohen. I'm here in South Florida, and that's why I'm not wearing a turtleneck, although it is pretty cool here for South Florida. I'm originally from Toronto, so I used to wear a lot of turtlenecks. They're actually in the closet right over there. And Tina and I have connected on various levels inside and outside of this amazing group, as have Christina and I. I am an attorney from originally Canada, and I'm also licensed in the US. And I provide services on a concierge level to small and medium-sized business owners that are looking to scale up successfully. I help them overcome the fears of dealing with all of these not so fun things like we deal with on a daily basis, right, Tina? And make it a little more fun and make them less fearful of dealing with those things as they move through the process of scaling up for expansion or sale. So I help businesses get ready to expand and get ready to sell. And that's what I do. So I love working with small business owners and helping them achieve their goals. And I have a collaborative network with people like Tina providing their specialized services.
Wonderful, Lauren. And you bring up a really good point, and that's what I wanted to talk to everybody about today who's watching is the fear. This is tax season now, and it all ties into your business structure, the rate you're taxed, and there's a lot of confusion right now going on. I know because I see the comments, I just started my business. I didn't make a profit. Do I need to file? What is the right? Should I be an LLC? Should I be a sole proprietor? People are really confused out there. This stuff is hard. To you guys, it's easy, but for us, especially, it is like, especially for me, taxes. Oh my goodness. Taxes and me I don't know. I cannot get my brain around the taxes. Like I'm trying to get everything ready for the accountant and my head is just like, spinning and so I want them to clarify tonight and really help everybody because this is we're into March now and taxes are going to be due soon and you want to think about planning your business out for the rest of the year and for the upcoming years. So let's start right now, and I know we'll start with Lauren. I know you speak to this with business structure, and I'm sure Tina you can speak to this as well. In what scenario is it best to go from being a sole proprietor, because I know a lot of people, especially when we have a lot of ladies out there who are in direct sales, and a lot of times they think they don't need an LLC and they're getting paid directly to their social security number and they're not running it through a business. But let's talk about the benefits of having an LLC or another type of form of business structure.
So first, I want to say that you mentioned that it's easy for us, and it might be easy for Tina, but it's not easy for me. So thinking about business structure, I'd rather be like selling and marketing and stuff like that. That's kind of the fun stuff, but I know that we have to deal with this important stuff. So it's not easy. It's still like it's more innate, I guess, or more second nature for us because we deal with it on a daily basis. So when is it best? And Tina, I hope that you're going to concur with my answer since I'm going first here. So I think it's always best to have a corporate structure of some sort in place, unless you're just doing, one-off services or really tiny, couple of $1,000 a year. Anybody that's in business to be in business should set up some type of a corporate entity, whether it be a limited liability company or a corporation or any number of other options. And as you know, I have this download with a chart of the three main corporate entities and that I'm happy to share with anybody. But the reality is that you can't just make a decision talking to a lawyer, and you can't just make a decision or shouldn't talking to an accountant. Right, Tina? She's nodding.
Exactly.
So you need like clients are always like, well, which one should they choose? And I'm like, well, your tax situation and your own personal like assets and perhaps your marital situation can have an impact upon the choice of entity. So these are all factors that come into play, and that's why it's so important to have collaborative people working together, because if you don't, it's kind of like going to 10 different doctors, for like you have a cold and you go to one, and then you need this, you go to another, and you have a heart thing and you go to another. And suddenly you find out that you're getting 10 different medications and they're counteracting each other. Like everybody probably knows this that's online. When you're on birth control, if you take antibiotics, the birth control doesn't work. Well, some people don't know that. So suddenly things happen. This is the same thing, right, Tina? You've got to work with everybody as a team. And if everybody's on the same page, collaborating to help you, then they have your back. And my accountant said this, and my lawyer said that, and my this said this, and da-da. Let's all work together. So that's where I pass the baton to you.
That's where it becomes a nightmare. Because, of course, a lot of people go to their attorney first, but then they don't come see their tax preparer until after the fact, after these transactions have taken place, and it causes damage. And one thing, I would have to agree that you need to structure your business. A sole prop nowadays is not feasible. If you talk to any attorney, but the easiest form for a tax preparer is a sole prop, but it could be very expensive for a business owner. It is the easiest tax-wise to prepare, but when a business forms an LLC, I can take it anywhere, any direction. So if someone is not making a lot of money, then for tax reasons, we can still keep it as a sole prop. You're not going to want to start considering changing from a sole prop to a corporation or an S corporation, C corporation, whatever type of entity that is deemed the best tax value for you. You're not going to want to do anything until you have like $50,000 in net profits. But the IRS, as far as an LLC is concerned, does not recognize an LLC. It defaults automatically to a sole prop unless you have other partners in the LLC, and then you're default to a partnership. But there is a couple.
Yeah, that's confusing.
What?
I was going to say that's confusing. I had a question about that because, like, a LLC is a flow through, right? So if you're saying it's pretty much like the same, no matter any income you make, if you're just an LLC, that's going to flow through to your personal tax return. Is that correct?
If you are set for the default, a sole proprietorship and partnership, And even if you structure it to be an S corporation, it's a flow through, but a C
Yeah.
corporation is different. It's its own entity. It pays its own taxes.
But very few people, especially in our group, are going to actually need or qualify for a C corp because it's not it's complex, and I think that's kind of changing though with the new tax
It
rules,
has,
right?
oh yes, it has changed, and it is a major tax factor in tax planning.
Yeah.
That's what certified tax coach, those credentials, does something differently than a CPA does. We actually look at your revenue streams and form different entities. And a C corporation has come back because it has a flat tax rate.
Right. As I'm saying this, I'm remembering because I'm not as familiar, obviously, as you.
Yeah.
And another thing, so one of the differences between a lawyer's guidance or advice and an accountant's or tax preparer's guidance or advice is that the lawyer is going to look at the entity as a legal protection, as opposed to the tax preparer who's going to look at the entity as where are you going to get the best bang for your tax dollar, for example, or how are you going to pay less taxes. So I might say, well, set up an entity as soon as possible because you're separating yourself from that entity. So in other words, when you're running your business, you want the business's liability and the business's obligations to go through the business, not through you personally. But that may have a different impact tax-wise. So that's why it's so important to have guidance from both.
Yeah. One thing you have to keep in mind, you're creating that entity. So if you create an LLC, I can do anything with it. So that's one thing that's not really known or understood by attorneys. You have you can set up if you set up a corporation, it could default to an S corporation or a C corporation, a pass-through entity, or one that sits alone by itself and pays its own taxes. So it's, to me, and it could be because I've done it for so long, it's an easy thing, and it should be easy.
So
it does a tax preparer to take whatever the attorney recommends and incorporate it into the person's tax plan or tax strategies.
Really good points, both that Lauren you made with Tina, that you both have different perspectives on it. So when you're talking about, Tina, the LLC and the different, it could be set up as an S corp or as a C corp or just an LLC. So when somebody's self-employed, they pay, from what I understand, a self-employment tax, right? 15.9% is that correct?
15.3.
And do they also then get taxed again on their income after that for their income tax?
You're a sole prop, you don't get to deduct that Social Security tax, the self-employment tax, on your tax return. So yeah, you're paying taxes on that, the federal tax on that. Now, if you have a pass-through entity, there are income that you don't get taxed on as far as Social Security, but you also get to deduct Social Security tax because you're on payroll with that pass-through entity.
Okay,
and
this
sense?
Is where most people are. It kind of does. I think a lot of people that watch it are probably like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's when everybody's
I've been
head
told
starts
I need to
spinning
talk like a little kid, and I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, right. This is for both of you. This is with legal terms and with accounting. This is where, it's almost like somebody explaining, like a technical person who creates apps or websites trying to explain to non-techie people. It's the same thing the other way. Like wait, there's all these different entities and different taxes and I just know people are just very confused out there of what is the best structure. So I guess it depends, like you said, about how much money you're making. If you're making you mentioned something about over $50,000 a year in profit, then what would be the best structure? Would it be the S Corp LLC?
That it all depends, because nowadays with the new tax laws, we've got to look at the the other corporation, the C corporation as well.
That's interesting because of the brand new
Because,
tax laws.
yeah, it's because of if you're a high earner, the C corp might be better because it can cap your tax rate. Whereas an S corporation, it passes through your personal return and you can get the highest income tax rate on that.
Got it. Okay. So that's interesting. So speaking about, just while we're on the subject of some of the things, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard mixed things. The meals and entertainment deduction, is that been changed or gone away, or you can't really get a straight thing from Google about that. What's the deal with that? I think everybody wants to know that.
Entertainment has gone away. So if you
Entertainment. But what
have
about
Country
business
Club
meals?
entertainment, you can't write it off.
But if you go out to dinner with a client or
Yeah,
discuss business, is that
50%.
still?
That's still the 50% for meals.
Meals. Okay, that's really important. Okay, because I know that's another confusing. Nobody really understands. I know there's a lot of stuff in the news right now about people being very disappointed with their tax returns who are getting a refund because they didn't realize less was taken out, and so they're freaking out because they're not getting the refunds they expected. So there's a lot of confusion, I think, around the whole tax situation. And then we get back into, like we were talking about with legal issues, Lauren, when you were saying about choosing a structure legally, I think what you were referring to is the protection that you get, that people don't understand, that if you don't protect yourself and somebody tries to sue you, the LLC is kind of that buffer, or the corporation. Can you explain that to everyone who doesn't understand that?
Sure. So it's about all types of protection, not just from a lawsuit, but everything that is part of your business. So when each state has a little bit different rules, but when you run a business on your own and you actually want to build a real business, you don't want to put your family and your home and in Florida, it's a little different with your home, but you don't want to expose your family and your home to all of the stuff that happens in your business. And no insurance policy is going to be able to cover all of that, no matter what you do. So it's got to be this full picture of legal and insurance and financial / accounting and all of the other components that go into putting that strong foundation in place, because you want to make sure that you're protecting your family and your home and whatever. So I get a lot of single moms that ask, well, I don't really have the money to set up the company, especially in California where it's $800 a year to keep your LLC up to date. And I'm like, well, do you have the money to expose your kid and your everything you own to somebody that decides they're unhappy with your work? Or so, then I had an energy, sorry, not an energy, a blacksmith trainer, blacksmith teacher, blacksmith trainer, let's call him.
Wow.
and he decided that because he hadn't had a lawsuit, he was going to go bare, not have a company anymore, and not have insurance anymore, because he'd been in business for 8 years and he hadn't had a lawsuit, so why bother? And suddenly the following year, which was the year they called me, there was something that happened and somebody got hurt. So it's like, well, if you just kept that up to date, so everything that you do, working with Tina, getting your taxes in order, working with me, getting the legal and the foundational stuff in order, making sure you have insurance, making sure that your brand is properly set up, making sure that all of your business planning is done properly. You have an exit strategy, and I'm preaching to the choir here, but basically, by doing all those things, you're setting yourself up for success. And by not doing them, just like with this guy, you're kind of like putting, you're biting off your nose to spite your face, and you're not really planning. And a failure to plan is a plan to fail, right? And that's really what's happening when you don't bother to put these things in place to get that corporate entity. You want to run as a sole proprietor because there's no tax implications? Okay, fine, but like, what about your other implications? What about your obligations? What about protecting your family? You need to separate yourself. It's not a physical separation, but it's like a physical separation from the business that you're doing. And another thing is that don't run all your businesses through run one business. So I see a lot of people
Mm.
on the site saying, "Oh, I'm opening this new business and I'm just going to run it as a DBA of my old business and da da da." Well, what if that old business had some kind of a problem that hadn't manifested yet? Or what if your new business impacts your old business, right? Why would you not
That's
have
interesting.
them separate? It's like people don't realize it's like commingling funds. So it's all the same. Tina, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, and that's where a lot of small businesses fail because they have
Exactly.
no clue what business is profitable, which cost center. I call them cost centers. If they also commingle their personal
Absolutely.
money
All the
into
time.
this, and it becomes a nightmare. You really
Yep.
have no clue what profit for that service or product you really have. It could be very unprofitable, and it's eating up your cash that is very profitable. So it gets very confusing for the business owner when they commingle.
And commingling meaning they're putting like their personal money or like say using your business account and using it for personal
That, yes, that's an example that's whenever they also have different revenue streams in the same account.
different
Like
revenue
I
streams. So
have
it's
a new entity and then I have my old entity. And, for the first few months of running the new entity, even though I had a separate bank account, I didn't have credit cards, I didn't have everything set up. So mostly everything ran through the old entity. So now I have to go back through the last 4 months of 2018 and figure out which expense and which allocation and which income is for which account. And then we have to do all this book stuff because I am not good at that book stuff. Okay, that book stuff, like you'll say that legal stuff, I do the book stuff, and I'm like, oh my God,
oh,
like it's
can
so
hear
much
you.
work, and like I have the separate entities legally, but I'm not the tax person, and I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't really set myself up well enough because I thought, well, what's the big deal? So a few dollars go here, and they're not supposed to be. It's still a corporation. It's still a business. No, 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 no.
Oh boy. So
So
that's
I
and then
learned
people
my
do this.
lesson.
Yeah, I mean with business. So if you do it with your personal, you can can you go back and modify it as owner drawing like in your accounting software to say you took it like so you
Yeah,
can
as long
different
as somebody's using accounting software.
Right.
like
That's a
Then
yeah,
good
it's
like
point.
wave.
equipped.
And it's not that great. Like, well, they have like a lot of them, like the QuickBooks Online. They have a Wave, but it's confusing still. Even with all those softwares, I mean, it's still really, really confusing. And what you both said, I just want to speak to it because I could just hear everyone's thinking this maybe not thinking it out loud, but they're thinking it or saying it out loud. Sure, yeah, I would love to do everything you're saying, Lauren and Tina, but I don't have the funds. So what I just wanted to throw in there is there are options I think that a lot of small business owners do not know about, like Cabbage is a loan you can get business loans. There's another one called I believe Funbox. Yeah, you're going to pay a little bit of a fee, but it's probably worth it to start yourself out. I think the biggest mistake a lot of times small business owners make is you're pulling that money out of your own, whatever you have, and you're trying to start a business. If you see a startup or a corporation, when they start their businesses, they get funding to start, right? Like a company,
Hmm.
they actually get people. But us small business owners will just say, oh, I only have like this much in the bank. And that's all I have to use for my to start a business. And I think that's probably one of the foundational mistakes that are made. So you're probably better off trying, if your credit's okay, to get yourself a business loan. And nowadays you don't have to go to, the Bank of America and get denied like it was in years ago. Now they have these great options like Cabbage and these other ones you can research, where you can get, fairly inexpensively get like $5,000 and then get your business structure set up and start off correctly. So I think you see that people just don't start off the right way and then they're behind the eight ball because the money's going for marketing, the money's going for everything else. And the last thing is the accounting and the structure. Is that right, Lauren? She's shaking her head. And Tina, yeah.
Yes.
Where it should be the first. So we're all guilty of this. Yes.
You said 5,000. And, even though I'm dealing with scaling businesses, I'm dealing with a lot of startup businesses. And Tina shook her head because 5,000, it's not even going to get you out the door. You've got to set up your company. You've got to get your budget stuff going. You've got to start working with a financial expert. You need a business plan. You need insurance. I mean, you've got to have at least 5 figures. And I would recommend, at least even for a coach, like without overhead, a home-based office, you've got to have $25,000 to get any business started. And then if you have expenditures like me, I had developer, and I went through 3 developers to develop my assessment, which I know you've both done. Those 3 developers all got paid. Now I had issues with each of them. Don't ask about that. That was a whole other story. But so I've been through all this stuff, and the amount of money, I definitely went through a lot more than 25,000 starting my new business. And I would think that most business owners, other than, coaches or direct marketing or something, are probably in a similar boat, that it's not 5,000 is not even going to get you out the door.
Yeah, I guess I was more thinking of maybe like the coaches and the people, the online marketers. Yeah, if you have a brick and mortar business, I used to own a hair and nail salon in New Jersey.
Right.
So obviously when we had that, we had, a lot of money had to be laid out initially. We had to remodel. We had to have a lease with the storefront, and it was, all those things like insurance and licensing and all that type of stuff. But nowadays it's so easy just to jump online, and people want to get into business, and they want to do it fast, and they want to be a coach, and they want to, we see it every day in the comments here in the group, how can I start my business with $100? Unfortunately, that's, it's not really realistic. So I guess, to say it might be discouraging for people to hear such a big number because, as an entrepreneur, you want to start hustling. And so what would be, and in between, like, what would be the first, if you had to only do one thing, I'll ask you both this, like, what would be the very first thing you would say to invest your money in to start your business off?
Tina?
Legally and tax-wise.
Tina, over to you.
Yeah, it takes a combination of all of it. It really does. Because you can't have one and not the other. Because if you slack on the marketing, then you're not going to bring in the customers you want unless you are used to being a hustler and out there networking with your local people, unless you understand the marketing part of it and your accounting. Don't leave it go until the end of the year and say, hey, tax preparer, here it is. Because it will cost you a lot more.
And that's what people do to you? They just dump a bunch of receipts?
They used to do that a lot, but I've had my clients for a long time, so I got them trained. Trained to do it on a monthly basis when we do their bookkeeping.
Smart. Oh, you do bookkeeping too?
Just don't put it on a stack because you don't like it.
See, that's interesting. The monthly bookkeeping is really important too. That's a good point too. A lot of people don't do monthly bookkeeping, and then at the end of the year, just like you said, it becomes a big mess and it's a big headache, and you're like totally overwhelmed, which is a lot of people are feeling right now, probably who are watching. They're just like, oh my gosh, what's a deduction? What's not a deduction? Can I take? There's so many things. Like, let me ask you, this would be a good question. What are some unusual deductions that are legal for entrepreneurs that maybe they don't know about that they can take? Can you take, okay, for example, you ladies are dressed now, you're working, you're on this video. Can you take your clothes as a deduction? Can you get your hair and makeup as a deduction? I mean, is any of this legit?
Yeah. If it was clothes, I would put your company name on it if you want your clothes.
Okay. If not, then no.
So what about, Tina, we can, so we'll get our own private label, and then we'll put it on, we'll be our new label. So everything we have suddenly has our label. And
your business name on it.
Business. I think this is a
Hey,
great
that's a good
idea.
idea, Lauren.
Sticky. I'll get a sticky that I can put on the clothes.
Yes, exactly. A pin.
Okay, so,
I'm audited. It's labeled.
but what about, okay,
Christina,
for
that's what we
example,
need to do at the lunch. We need to get some.
Sticky,
Oh
so
my
to make it
goodness,
a
I can
tax
just see it.
deduction, right?
I'm sorry.
So, but though
Are
there
you
are
tax
legitimate,
If you want a
Are you
tax
going?
deduction, stick this on your shirt. But it's true, yeah, it's true, because then it becomes a promotional item. So I actually have a client
ah,
slash friend who is a promotional items guy. He actually helps me run my marketing division, and he almost every single day, certainly during the week, wears a shirt that's promoting his business. And I'm like, kind of boring, but I guess
hey,
it
it's a
kind of
tax
makes
deduction,
sense.
right, Tina? He can write off that shirt.
No, I have another idea. This probably won't fit some of the small business owners, but once you start to build your business and you're making money, you start paying for your parents' things or your children's things. There are strategies you can put in place to help to be able to deduct what you're paying for them.
Really? What about like adult children? Like children over 21, if you're helping
Right.
to
What
support them,
what
can
would
you deduct
happen
it?
is one of the things that you would want to do is put them on payroll. They get a paycheck. That's how they get their money.
Can you pay your 8-year-old on a payroll?
Yeah. If you can come up with a task, for example, that they could do, like cleaning, dusting, emptying trash, they can do scanning for you. I've had some of my younger daughter helping me when she was younger. Um, so yeah, you can put them on payroll.
All right, I'm calling
What
mine
you
up
need
here
to,
now.
but what you need to do is also have documentation.
Yeah.
You need to pay them a reasonable comp. You need to have a job description for them. Those types of things need to be in place. But yep, you
But
can deduct a lot of things.
so if you were to say, okay, so say for example, my son who's 20, he's 25, right? 26 actually. So let's say I pay his car payment, I pay student loans, I pay money toward help him. Um, like that's not deductible though. That's just giving him money, or
Straight
can I
out,
take a deduction?
straight out, no. But if you hire him, like if he has a talent to do videos for you or has a talent to do marketing, you can hire him to earn that money.
And he would have to pay taxes on that money.
Correct. You would treat him like an employee. But if you have let's say a child under the age of, why is it coming 12? Under the age of 12, no, that's not right. I'd have to look up the age. But if you have a child under the age, you do not have to pay taxes on that money.
I'm giving him all my money. That's it.
What about a mother who's
But it's
73?
only up to $12,000 that you
Oh,
have
20,000. Okay, that's all right. That's
federal
good.
Is
tax.
Good start.
do seniors count too? Do they count like children, your seniors, or can you deduct them?
Seniors? Did you say
Senior
seniors?
citizens? Yeah, it's like seniors, like over 65.
Oh, that's whenever you do some strategizing on that.
Okay, this is interesting stuff here, guys. Okay, so if you have your child, you can have your child do some work for you, and if they're young, then they don't even have to pay the taxes on it.
Up
And
to
I'm just
12,000.
thinking up to 12. I'm thinking, would it be like similar for like I'm thinking seniors, like say someone's on Social Security, a parent, an elderly parent, and they're doing some scanning or filing for you, and you're
Right.
paying them, then that might be the same sort of situation. I
Correct.
don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just
They could be
guessing. That would be.
monitoring your Facebook. They can do a
Hmm.
lot of things.
Actually, my mother does do that. My mother is one of the admins of this group.
So if you're
And
paying for stuff for her, just put her on payroll.
now, will I be able to? No, she's been doing this all the last year. I didn't put her on payroll, but I pay for stuff for her. Would I be able to take that, or no? It has to be on the payroll.
Um, if you're saying paying right out for her, like some of her living costs, no, that wouldn't be deductible.
It's got to be like you got to put everybody on to well, what I do, I have my one daughter who does work for me, but she's an independent contractor. So I give her a 1099. So that
Right.
is different.
You can do
But so I'd
that.
have to do the same thing with mom if I were to pay
Right.
her and then 1099 her.
But you also want to be careful with that with the ones that are on Social Security tax. You can't pay them too much or it'll affect what's taxable for their Social Security.
Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. So I think this is stuff you got to consult Tina for with these things about the tax, but these give you some new options. So anything else that President Trump, did he throw us any bones in there for entrepreneurs that we should know about for 2018
Yes.
taxes?
Have you heard of the super deduction?
No.
I
don't think so.
It's actually the tax law section 199A. It's where and there is some special calculation, your income impacts it too, but if your net profits of your business, it has nothing to do with your W-2 wages or anything like that, except for what we call a threshold. If you make too much money, you lose it. It's 20% of your profit is a deduction off your income, so you don't have to pay taxes on it.
Really? And that's for all businesses, all different structures, LLCs, S corps?
For now, with the new laws, the law has been adjusted. I think it was December where they had to revise the law. There are certain industries, if you make too much money, you are classified in a special industry, like architects, accountants, lawyers. You lose that deduction.
Oh no! So Lauren and you both lose that deduction?
No,
for being
because
accountants and lawyers?
no, because we are not. At least I am not operating as a law firm. I am a lawyer, but I run a business consulting, so it's different.
Ah, smart. Okay, got it. And so 20%.
That's not why, but yes, that's if you're, you can, just because you're a lawyer, unless you're running a PA or a law firm, then the super deduction, I believe I don't know, because I'm not an accountant, I'm not doing my taxes, so I don't know how it works.
Well, you're in Canada, right?
No, I'm in Florida.
Ah, for some reason I thought you were in Canada.
I'm from Canada.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So the super deduction, this is really interesting. So it's 20% basically of your business's gross of taxes is being shaved off the top if you make it in like less than a certain amount, or you're not in one of those
Let's say
industries.
you have a net profit of 100,000. 20,000 of it, which is 20%, will be deducted. So you only pay taxes on your 80,000.
Sounds exactly like the homestead exemption, Christina.
Oh, so
Right?
does this is a question. So say if you're a flow through, does that now deduct on what your personal income is down on your actual 1040? So it's less,
Right.
20,000 less.
Right.
So will that help people like who want to get like marketplace credits and stuff too, or like showing an less income than they really earn, or will that screw people up, Lauren, with like child support? Like say a man has to pay child support, now he's getting 20% off. That's probably
that won't have anything to do. Yeah, that won't have anything to do with child support or anything like that. That's just
okay. It's just a deduction
on the return.
Okay, it just shows you how my mind gets twisted when I think of taxes. I can't. It like literally just like goes into like a pretzel. Like I'm like I try to wrap my brain around it all the time, and I get myself like so confused. Okay, but that I didn't know about that. I knew that there was something, that there was some sort of thing, but I didn't understand it fully. But that is great, everybody. We get a super deduction, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the new tax law for that. That sounds good. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, you don't get any meals, but you get 20%. So I don't know.
Well, you get no entertainment, but you get half of your meals.
Half your meals,
but
no
yet,
entertainment, 20%. There you go.
See, what I had a question of that was, if I rent a place for I do events, like Lauren's going to be in 2 weeks, we're going to have the Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs Luncheon on March 21st. So even though there's food involved with that, I'm actually renting the space. So that's not considered a 50% meal. That should be a 100% deduction. Right, Tina? I hope.
I know in the workplace when you are, it should be 100%. In the workplace,
Yeah, because it's
you
a rental.
feed all your employees, it's deductible. It's whenever you take your one-on-one with a client, then it's not.
Oh, and that's 50% if you're one-on-one with a client.
Right.
Got
But
it.
then what
Okay.
about those of us that attend as a
You can write it off. Yes.
If you purchase food, it's 50%
Yeah.
for yourself.
But what if they
50%.
attend? See, now they're not really purchasing food. They're purchasing a ticket. It's educational. So they would, how much would they get
Their
off of that?
tickets deductible. But they
100%.
pay for some of, that's a luncheon, so that's just one meal. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, because technically anybody buying a ticket, you're buying the education. You're not really buying the food. You're about paying for the ticket to go for networking.
That's one way
education.
around it.
Yeah. So
I'm
put
not
it as that
eating.
because...
Okay, I'm just not eating.
Yeah,
can
this
eat
is
half.
stuff, I mean,
Eat half of it.
yeah, 50%. I mean, you must get you both must get like the craziest questions. It's both law wise, what's legal and what's not legal and what's tax deductible and what's not. I can only imagine the kind of questions that entrepreneurs ask,
Have you
right?
seen the actual tax form? They turned it into a postcard.
I don't want to look at it.
No, I have not seen
it. Postcard size. You can fold it in half now.
No way. Really?
So
Wow.
Page 2, it's now on page 1.
I just know that I am like such a control freak that I can't give over my numbers until I go over them 100 times to my accountant. Like I'm the opposite of your normal client who just cans receipts. I have to like run the numbers 25 times. I'm like, I just can't let go. I'm like, they're due to go. And one thing, just to let everybody know who does have I have a partnership. Technically an LLC partnership, because I have my brother who only has 1%, but I had just put him on not realizing, and they changed the law. It's due March 15th, not April 15th.
Yeah.
And you will get a $400 penalty if you don't know that, because last year I didn't know that, and I filed April 15th. They just changed it last year. So I got a nice letter from the IRS telling me I owed $400. So I called them up. I'm like, what? They're like, it just changed. You should read the tax laws. I'm like, okay. So they gave me a one-time pass, only once, so I don't have to pay the $400. But I'll never make that mistake again because I didn't realize with the changing of things. So this year I got somebody handling all this stuff, but I'm still, as you can tell, too much of control because I do my kids' taxes with the TurboTax, and those are easy because they're they have W-2 goes in, but it's not good to wear all these hats. You have to give up control and let people like Lauren and Tina handle it and not be your do-it-yourself Google expert, right? Do-it-yourself accountant, right?
Right now,
Tina, you
that,
should sign up for my raffle that I'm having.
You're having a raffle? What is this about?
For a free tax plan.
For tax planning. Now, tell me what the difference is between, okay, so you've got an accountant who's doing your taxes. I have an accounting firm this year was setting me up for an S Corp for 2019, and they're doing my taxes, but they're not doing tax planning. That's something different. Explain the difference. That's really important for everybody to know.
Is, like, whenever you're doing tax preparation, there's pretty much standard tax deductions like depreciation, writing off your assets, retirement's pretty standard. But what I do is take a look at your revenues, what kind of revenues you are bringing in, and if there is revenues that can be split off. Let's say you have, for example, have your online courses as a source of revenue stream. You could have another revenue stream that you're doing coaching. So what I do is take a look, and I also take a look at what you're spending your money personally on, and I take a look at everything and determine what tax strategies would benefit you if you are doing it a little bit differently. And it might mean you're setting up a different company. It might mean that you might set up a C corporation and take advantage of that flat tax rate. It might mean that you want some of it into an S corporation. If you have employees, you might want to factor in the benefits, because an S corporation, you cannot deduct some of the benefits as an owner if you're more than a 2% owner. So whereas another tax structure would give you the benefits of writing your actual benefits, and benefits I'm meaning health insurance, and those types of benefits.
So this is very interesting. So we're talking tax planning, and you do this. And what is do you average, you charge, you have a raffle, but what is your, so everybody knows, do you have a packages for this that if somebody wants to hire you for this?
It depends on the complexity of that tax planning. So what happens is we go through all the questions, and I will come back with strategies and what my recommendations are. And also you'll get the tax regulations that go behind that. So one thing, since you are looking at an S corporation, you need to be getting on payroll as an owner.
Yes, I am now. Yes, I'm on the payroll now.
You have
for myself.
You have documentation that your wages would be acceptable. It's a reasonable comp.
That's what I want to. Yes.
That's one thing that I put into the tax plan. It's documentation that it withstands IRS audit. So if you are going by documentation of, let me make 50,000 and you're really profiting 150,000, your 50,000 might not be a reasonable comp.
Got it.
You would need to compare it. How much would it cost you to replace yourself? So the IRS could come in and see, oh, you're making 150,000 and you're only paying yourself 50. Let's audit Christina. So you would need to come up with proof and documentation that would withstand an audit. So
these are all really important things that you do, Tina. Really, really important tax planning. And that goes hand in hand with what Lauren does with the business structuring and things to protect your business. And one thing, Lauren, just to shift gears a little bit that I want to throw in here too, is I know Lauren does a lot of things with trademarking and making sure you're protecting your business name, right? And all of this just goes together hand in hand. There's a lot of confusion on that as well. Like taxes, like if you get a trademark for your name, is it protected? Now, I trademarked Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs is now trademarked. It's not, it's pending. It's on the trademark, the government site. And I did the categories to protect it as social media, like online, like the name for specifically, so other people won't steal the group name. But yet people are. They are trying to steal the name. So what do you say, Lauren, for not my specific situation, but people out there who are having this issue where they got a trademark, they spent the money, but there's people still out there just copying their name.
And that's why trademark litigators and intellectual property litigation is so big right now. There is so much of this going on. So I think what makes the most sense, and I have to apologize because I'm going to have to go in a few minutes because I have to put my son to bed. But I think what makes the most sense and what I'm hearing Tina say, which is why we've connected and, we're going to be working together, certainly on various things, because it's all about having the right plan in place. So you can't stop somebody from trying to steal your work or trying to steal your name or trying to violate this, or, you can't stop other people. Right? It's just like with anything. All that you can do is control your reactions. How do you react? Well, you get a trademark attorney. You work with somebody like me that can bring in a professional that's going to help you defend or challenge them or say cease and desist or get a litigator or whatever the case may be. The key is, I think, at the end of the day, that putting a proper plan in place, working with Tina on the tax plan, which I would love a tax plan with you, Tina, working with me on the overall success plan, which Tina's tax plan could be a part of that, because certainly, it's one of the 7 elements that we cover. Financial is so, so, so important, but you can't have any one of the things without all the other things in place, as Tina was saying at the beginning. You can't just say, I need to get my legal entity in place. I need to get my books in order. I need to get a business plan. You have to begin, as I always say, with the end in mind. And the end is, what is your ultimate exit? What are you building this business for? Are you building this business just to provide services and, you don't have anything to really sell if that's what you're doing? Do you want to build a legacy for your kids? Do you want to make an impact? How do you want to make an impact? How does that all look like? Let's get some tangible stuff on there. Today, I was talking with one of my coaches about an event. I was just asked to be on faculty of CEO Space. I'm very excited about it. It's my first time in 2 weeks. I'm going to be teaching there. What do I want to get out of that? What is my end game with that? So I think, wouldn't you agree, Tina, that having a tax plan is like, okay, where do I want to get with this tax thing, instead of just filing a tax return? Because most people just file a tax return. It's like, oh, let's just put the things in the boxes they belong, like the company you probably worked with when you started, and then we submit it, and here's your money, or here, you owe us this money. No, you need a holistic approach to this process, so that at the end of the day, you put more dollars in your pocket and you protect your family and bulletproof your business. And that's, I think, ultimately what the goal is, whether it be intellectual property, setting up your structure, dealing with your taxes, getting your business plan, all of those things. And obviously, as you can see, I'm a little impassioned about this because this is what I talk about. And by the way, another thing, which I think Tina would agree with me, and I know you do, Christina, is pretty much every business owner on your site should look at the possibility or consider what a nonprofit looks like. Not that their main business is going to be a nonprofit, but having a nonprofit business is just an amazing way of growing and scaling your business and providing a whole different level of tax issues that it's just a really, people just don't understand. There's so much misinformation out there. So let's get a whole plan in place. That could be part of the tax planning. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to look at a nonprofit as you're doing your tax planning. Maybe you're really not a for-profit.
Oh, see, I love this.
I just popped in my mind last week that I'm going to be setting up an online course, financial intelligence course. Mm-hmm. And this was brought up several years ago whenever I was on the board member of a nonprofit. They actually help people that have been in prison transition into the real world. A lot of them are entrepreneurial. Mm-hmm. And so a nonprofit would be excellent for me to offer, because I will go after monies, grants, and all that to cover the course cost for that person to attend the training.
Oh, and this is really cool.
And when they have something to look forward to, hopefully they will forget about that past life that they had that landed them in jail.
Isn't that wonderful, Tina? Wow. Well, Lauren is your person for nonprofit. In fact, Lauren and I have spoken about, I'm definitely going to start a Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs nonprofit, so we can bring in there's so many of our members who are watching right now that are in here in the United States and other countries who just don't have the resources. And I want to get us sponsors that can get grants that we can get you guys computers and get you the courses you need and get you the business stuff that we're talking about, for those of you who truly need it. That would be huge, Tina, because we take for granted what we.
I'm sorry, Christina. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say, Lauren?
I'm sorry. I thought it's hard because I can't see you, so I'm not sure if
I know it's hard because I'm not on it yet, right? It's hard to pick up because
Sorry.
I'm on just by audio. Yeah, no, I just would think that would be wonderful to give everybody the opportunity that some of us have. We have computers, we have our smartphones, we have more than others who are really, they're just, don't even have a laptop. They don't even have, don't have any courses that they can take or coaching and stuff. And that's why I like that we
Yeah.
have our mentorship program here in the group. That's for free. That everybody should be taking advantage under mentorships, under units, especially for those of you who are just starting out but I just want to say before we end, the two of you, I wanted definitely with both of you, to go deeper with this conversation privately because I want to do tax planning. I want to get that nonprofit started, Lauren, and I want to see you two working together as a team because you guys are you fit together like, just perfectly what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
So I'm hoping you guys are going to, like
We've had
that's
a
the
few
missing
conversations.
piece,
And
Yeah, give me some time yet.
so, by the way, Tina, I just want to tell you, I have, I think two, maybe three new clients in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
So that it's kind of happening in like last week and this week. And also I wanted to mention, I do have a nonprofit. So if you wanted to deliver this online course through my nonprofit, there are ways to do that if your target market or if your mission is connected in some way. Mine is for single moms and mompreneurs. So certainly some of the people that are coming out of prison
Are females.
Yeah. So there's and my nonprofit is findmysilverlining.com. So yeah, and another thing for nonprofits to know is that you have access, which I will admit is a nightmare to access, but there's a program through Google AdWords where you can access up to $10,000 in monthly Google AdWords campaign. It's a grant.
Wow.
So,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Need to be
Wow.
taught.
So this is a whole big thing. And I will throw something else out there. So every single person on here on this site has a website. And this is just, it's not really directly related to tax planning at all. But everybody knows about the Americans with Disabilities Act, right?
Yes.
So every website, especially those that are where you're dealing with different types of populations and whatever, you have accessibility issues. And website designers especially need to look at some various indemnifications related to the Americans with Disabilities Act if you're providing website guidance and so on. So these are things that I would love to help you with because it's a growing area of litigious action, meaning people are suing all over the place because it's easy money and you don't want to be stuck with that. So think about that because these are, especially if you have membership sites and so on, and you're accessing all kinds of different populations, and you have to be aware of this. So it's a big deal.
Wow. Oh, unbelievable. Well, I know we're over time and everybody has to go, but before we do, I just want to say thank you guys so much. You both are a wealth of information, powerhouses. I'm so excited to take this conversation further, but I want you both to just give us where we can contact you, your website, and then also everybody's asking questions in the comments. When you guys can answer them, anything that they may have, but let everybody know how we can get in touch with you. So we'll start with Tina.
They can reach me by phone 717-504-8808. Or I have two different websites. One is my original website. It's Pittman, Pittman -CPA.com. Or they can find me at innovativetaxplanning.com.
I love that.
Wonderful. Love it.
And
Lauren?
you can find me on Facebook, Your Accountant.
Your Accountant. Got it.
Oh, I love that. That's great that you got that. That's great. So I'm going to share, so Tina's doing a raffle for a free tax plan, and I have a really cool quiz that everybody should do. Actually, today I launched a brand new quiz, which you both should try. It's called nonprofitquiz.com. Imagine that.
Oh,
Yes,
I love it.
About 5 hours ago, I just launched it, nonprofitquiz.com. And my big quiz, which everybody loves, is called showmethemoneyquiz.com. So it's free,
Wow.
and if you, I think you'll like it. It's one of those ones that scroll across. So showmethemoneyquiz.com and nonprofitquiz.com. I have others as well, but those are my two that are most relevant to what we're talking about today.
Excellent.
So
And you
thank
will
you.
put those in the
and
comments
you can reach
too.
me. So you can reach me at Scale Up Checkup on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram. I don't know, all those things. I'm very big on LinkedIn. On Facebook, I have Scale Up Checkup and Scale Up to Sell. Those are my pages. And Lauren at scaleupcheckup.com, or you can always find me in the group because I'm always commenting, or somebody's mentioning me to comment on something, or vice versa. And I think that the three of us probably will help comment about each other, right, from now on. You need tax,
Absolutely.
go to Tina. You need marketing, go to Christina. You need legal, don't talk to Lauren. Find somebody else. I'm just kidding.
Well, no, definitely. You guys are absolutely amazing. And this has been so enlightening, and I've learned a lot. And the super deduction sounds exciting. So check that out.
I'm putting my son to work, so I have to go now because I have to go downstairs and write his job description. So it's been a
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, everybody, and definitely, guys, put your comments and everything in the comments. And thank you so much for being on the show today. And we're going to be doing more like this, and these guests have been absolutely phenomenal. And check out their websites and get those, enter the raffle and take those quizzes. Very enlightening.
Thank you,
guys so much.
Tina.
Have a great night. Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.